Now think about this. A woman is talking to you and you're telling her everything. Where you were born, what you do for work, who you dated in the past, what you're doing tomorrow. You're laying it all out there, and after a while, what happens? Her interest fades. Why? Because there's nothing left to discover about you. But now imagine the opposite. You talk less, give half answers to some questions, smile and change the subject. What does she do? She thinks about you. I wonder what he meant. Why didn't he tell me everything? Who is this guy? That's the power of mystery. Today we're going to talk about why not explaining everything makes you more attractive. The psychology of being an emotional puzzle. Because people don't get stuck on what they know. They get stuck on what they don't know. And as long as you're a puzzle, you won't leave their mind. Most men open up completely from the first moment they meet someone. They tell their life story, share their feelings, reveal their plans, like they're in a job interview presenting their CV. And what happens? The woman listens, nods, but deep down, she's bored. Why? Because there's no element of curiosity left. The human brain works like this. It doesn't focus on what it knows. It focuses on what it doesn't know. In psychology, this is called the information gap theory. When you leave something incomplete, the brain starts working to complete it. For example, you're watching a movie and it stops in the middle. What do? You think about that movie. I wonder what happens in the end. But if you watch the movie from start to finish, you forget it the moment it ends. Same thing in relationships. When you fully explain yourself, that movie is over. But when you leave yourself incomplete, you keep playing in her head. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about lying or playing games. I'm just talking about not serving everything on a plate. Let her discover some things. Open up in layers over time. Because attraction lies in mystery. And mystery starts with talking less. Second topic, unpredictability. This is very important. Women find predictable men boring. Why? Because there's no element of surprise. A man who always gives the same reactions, says the same things, shows the same behaviors, is no different from a robot, but an unpredictable man. He's different. Sometimes he replies to messages immediately. Sometimes he doesn't reply for hours. Sometimes he's very warm, sometimes distant. Sometimes he makes plans. Sometimes he's spontaneous. Is this inconsistency? No. This is being human. Because real people aren't always the same. Their moods change, their energy is different, and this naturalness is attractive. But what do most men do? They stay the same all the time, always available, always the same energy. And this is predictable. Now look, unpredictability doesn't mean being cold. It doesn't mean playing games. It means living according to your own rhythm. Sometimes your energy is high, sometimes low, sometimes social, sometimes introverted. This is your naturalness. And this naturalness makes her curious, because she can't fully figure you out. And what she can't figure out is interesting. Fourth topic, silence. A man who speaks less is powerful. Why? Because he doesn't say everything. He keeps some things hidden. He keeps some thoughts to himself. What do men who talk too much do? They explain everything, all their thoughts, all their plans, every detail. And as a result, they become ordinary. But a man who speaks less is different. His words are valuable. Whenever he speaks, people listen. Because he doesn't say everything, what he does say gains meaning. Silence is also a sign of confidence. You don't feel the need to prove yourself. You're not trying hard to be liked. You're comfortable and self-assured. And this energy transfers to women. They find you secure, mature, and attractive. Of course, silence doesn't mean not talking. Talk when necessary, but don't tell everything. Let her discover some things. Let her learn some details over time. Because the more you talk, the less interesting you become. But the less you talk, the more curiosity you create. And curiosity keeps interest alive. Fifth point, opening up in layers. Look, your deepest secrets, traumas, fears, don't tell these on the first date. Why? Because it's too heavy, and you're not at that level yet. Relationships progress in layers. First layer, surface topics. Second layer, a bit deeper. Third layer, personal things. Fourth layer, emotional connection. What do most men do? They jump straight to the fourth layer. Here's my biggest fear. Here's my past. Here's my weak points. And the woman? She feels overwhelmed. But if you open up layer by layer, she discovers you over time. She learns something new at each meeting. She goes deeper with each conversation. And this process creates attachment because she's on a journey of discovering you. And this journey is addictive. You're a book, but you're not read in one sitting. It takes time to turn each page, and she's eagerly wondering about the next page. That's the power of mystery. You don't tell your whole story. You write it over time. And the final point, the balance between mystery and authenticity. Now look, we talked about the power of mystery, but I also need to say this. Fake mystery is manipulation. If you're playing games, you'll get caught. Women understand this. Real mystery is this. You're a full person. You have things you enjoy, hobbies, goals. And you don't tell everything about them because you're full. You have a lot to tell. An empty person can't be mysterious because there's nothing to hide. But a full person, they're naturally mysterious. You read books, work out, work on projects. These are your layers, and she discovers these layers over time. So mystery isn't playing games. It's living a full life and not serving that life on a plate. Because the most attractive men are men who have lives. They don't revolve only around a woman. They have their own world, and women want to be invited into that world. You're offering an invitation, but you're not forcing it. She wants to come of her own will, and that is real attraction. Today we talked about the power of mystery. Why shouldn't you tell everything? Because curiosity keeps interest alive. Unpredictability makes you attractive. Silence makes your words valuable. Opening up in layers creates attachment. But remember, this isn't playing games. This is living a full life, investing in yourself, knowing your worth. As long as you're a puzzle, people will try to solve you. And when they can't, they'll think about you. I hope this video gave you something valuable. Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you apply these principles? What are your experiences? See you in the next video. Take care of yourself.